this campus is even more beautiful than I remember. This building is 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor, with tomorrow inside. You are tomorrow. And your creativity and imagination will shape our tomorrows. If you think you're too small to make an impact, try going to bed with a mosquito in the room. You are not too small to make a difference if you are motivated. Now, some people say motivation doesn't last very long. Well, neither does deodorant. That's why I use it every day. We all need to find a way to keep our fires burning every single day. From an early age, I loved to perform for others. I used to play the piano with the windows open in my house so the telephone linemen working in the front yard could hear me play. They would call out requests. My mother didn't love that. When my little friends and I would go to each other's houses to play, we would perform every role from Peter Pan and the Wizard of Oz in our front yards. We were our own audience. And when I got older, my motivation was my passion for theater and music. I had big dreams to become a working, professional actor and musician. I was fearless because I didn't know any better. 50 years ago, this year, in 1973, I graduated from high school and began pursuing my goal. My first big decision was to follow my goosebumps and not the money. I had considered becoming a lawyer, but I really wanted to perform. So my journey began right here at the University of Maryland, where I was actually a dramatic art major at the time. All of the courses began with D-A-R-T. So beginning acting was DART 120, intermediate acting was DART 220. So essentially, I majored in darts. But when classes began, I wanted to learn and absorb as much as I could. I studied hard, I listened to my professors, I got as much performing experience as possible. I got paid to work in local theaters. I played the organ at church, I taught piano lessons, I played the piano everywhere. I toured with the young Colombians, and I auditioned for everything I could here at the university. Two of the most important things I learned in my acting and directing classes were how to communicate and how to figure out what makes people tick. Just because you can talk doesn't mean you can communicate. One of the most effective ways to communicate with someone is to understand human nature. And that was an unexpected benefit of learning how to analyze characters in plays and being taught to always observe people's behavior. Let me talk about pivoting for a minute and using those communication skills. After performing on stage throughout the country and abroad, performing in tons of TV shows and movies, directing and choreographing shows in New York, I made a pivot. We used to say, you have to be able to turn on the dime. Well, now, post-pandemic, we all say, pivot. So, using the skills that I had honed, I envisioned myself having a bigger impact. That mosquito again. I still wanted to have an interesting life and a fulfilling career, but I wanted to make more of an impact in the world. Going to law school when you're 30 years old might seem risky, but a very smart friend of mine once told me that people who are willing to take risks have much more interesting lives. And she was very right. So, as the dean just said, I took the law school admission test. I graduated first in my class from law school and started practicing law when I was 32 years old. The same communication skills that helped me become a successful actor made me a better lawyer. Some say that a lawyer is just a better paid actor. But in my entire 30 years as a lawyer, I never lost a jury trial. Picking jurors requires you to assess their demeanor and body language. I would watch for signs of what they were communicating, both verbally and non-verbally. My years of memorizing scripts and improvising when things went wrong on stage gave me the ability to think on my feet and speak accurately in court. What about you? What skills are you honing that will propel you into a meaningful career? Now, some of you will have lifelong careers as performers, directors, choreographers. Some will become journalists. Some will become script writers. Some will become human resources directors, teachers, trainers. And I'm not saying that you should give up on your first dream, but I hope you will remember that we all can have multiple dreams, because our goals may change over our lifetimes. Can you imagine having an even bigger impact using your skills and your imagination? Can you imagine a dancer teaching Parkinson's patients how to walk again? Or a musician leading a memory choir for Alzheimer's and dementia patients? Or actors using their skills to reach autistic children through theater games? My high school friend Rick Schmidt, sitting right over there, is a terrific pianist. He earned a BA in economics here at the University of Maryland, then got a law degree, then worked as a journalist and editor in the San Francisco office of the Wall Street Journal, all while playing jazz piano in a band at night. Another high school friend, Ray White, over there, earned 2 degrees, one in history and one in vocal performance here at the University of Maryland. He's an overachiever. He then had a successful singing career. He played the organ at church and was a music director at the same church for 40 years. He taught music bibliography and music librarianship at Catholic University, all while working as a music librarian at the Library of Congress, a job he still enjoys today. My husband, Steve Fessler, earned a BFA in vocal performance, and within weeks of graduation, he was touring as the youngest ever tenor soloist in one of the most renowned choirs in the country. After singing all over the world, he joined Actors Equity Association, and he performed in Broadway national tours in the United States and Canada. Eventually, he made a pivot, and he became an equity stage manager and eventually a producer of live entertainment at the Walt Disney Company. And as for me, my career included performing at the Kennedy Center and Lincoln Center, working on stage all over the country and abroad, working with stars that the Dean named earlier in TV shows and commercials and movies. And then after my pivot, I litigated cases for the Walt Disney Company. And eventually, I became a partner at one of the largest employment law firms in the country. I'm a proud member of Actors Equity Association and Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA, which gave me great insight to help negotiate the current collective bargaining agreement between the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra and the Musicians Union. The possibilities really are limitless. Over your careers, you will be given lots of advice. I hope you'll remember to select from that advice just as you select the items that you need at the grocery store that day. Some advice that will be thrown at you will be pertinent, and some advice will be completely irrelevant. Pick and choose what works for you. It's up to you to choose the journey you want to travel. Be creative, be open, be imaginative, and above all, be you. You all know it won't be easy, but I guarantee you it will be worth the effort. There's a saying that goes like this: successful people are those who can build firm foundations from the bricks that are thrown at them. No two journeys are alike, and where you are today does not dictate where you will end up. But all artists touch people through the arts, with our talents and with our hearts. The arts are the great equalizer that brings together people of all different backgrounds. You can touch people through a song, a phone call, a letter, a dance, or a conversation with a complete stranger at the grocery store. Some of us eventually are fortunate enough to be able to impact people through sharing our treasure or giving our time. Whatever your journey, know that you can change the world. If you want to touch the past, touch a rock. If you want to touch the present, touch a flower. But if you want to touch the future, touch a life. Choose your path carefully. Your choices can change our tomorrow. Thank you.